Dr. Louise Ormerod is a co-owner and director of the Juice Plus company. As a business analyst, her razor-sharp analytical skills informed the strategic direction of the company, which she refers to as her second home and family. Prior to joining the Juice Plus company, Louise had successful careers as an academic lecturer, researcher, and consultant as, I'm not even going to try, it's a river scientist. Louise presented at international conferences and published scientific research in the top global journals in her field, and just an amazing mind. I just love watching Louise when she's at work and she's just working things through. In addition to her role as director, Louise was able to act on a lifelong passion in 2008 and started a foundation associated with Juice Plus called Nutrition Plus, a charity devoted to improving the health of predominantly Australian Indigenous children through improved nutrition and education. Louise is dedicated to Juice Plus and the team at the Juice Plus home office, the franchisees, and the thousands of Juice Plus customers around Australia and New Zealand, and works tirelessly to steer the company to even greater heights. Today, with her coming on stage, will be David Newnham. David is a proud Aboriginal cultural man of the Wiradjuri and Namba groups of central New South Wales. He was born and bred in Newcastle and is married and is the father of 2 boys. Many of you have had the pleasure of meeting David, and his energy is beautiful. He has several tertiary qualifications, and he's a qualified educator and trainer and renowned teller of dad jokes. David has taught at the University of Newcastle, he has taught at TAFE, and he's worked in government agencies and large companies. His passion is sharing Aboriginal knowledge and culture, and he presently does that full-time at schools and with Nutrition Plus. He's been a board member of Nutrition Plus for 5 years, and over this past year, the Community Engagement Manager. David is committed to the notions of respect, humility, responsibility, and obligation, and that sharing is caring. Can you give a great big hand to Louise and David?
Thanks, Jane. Woo-hoo. Thank you, Celine. That was awesome. Wow. What a wonderful experience this is. It's so lovely to see so many familiar faces here and so many people that I don't know. It's quite incredible, and I hope I'll get to make some friends and new family members of those people that I don't yet know. So, as Celine said, I'm here to talk about Nutrition Plus. So, Nutrition Plus first came out of an idea that, I had an awareness that there was a group of people in our communities that had little or no access, in some cases, to fresh fruits and vegetables. And then when taking over the Juice Plus company with Peter, here I had in my hand Juice Plus. What's Juice Plus? Fruits and vegetables. So it was a happy coincidence, except I don't believe in coincidences. So it was quite an easy thing for me to do in some ways, is to put those 2 things together, and some people that I knew would help me get Nutrition Plus started. So my intention here today is to make sure that you know why we have Nutrition Plus, what we do, that your contributions, and some of you don't even know that you're making a contribution, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, what your contributions do and how we are making a difference to people that don't have fruits and vegetables in their lives, and it's not just Aboriginal people, it's other disadvantaged people as well. So, can everyone put up their hand if they've heard about Nutrition Plus before today? Okay. Now, I know it was on the registration form. So some of you might have seen it there for the first time. Can you put your hand up if you include Nutrition Plus in your Juice Plus story or in your story? Okay, David, we've got work to do. There's not enough hands up. So I know for certain that there are some people that join our business because of Nutrition Plus, and you don't know who those people are. So I would suggest that here's another way that you can maybe introduce something that's going to appeal to somebody that you don't know, and they'll come on board with the Juice Plus journey. So, Aboriginal culture has long been important to me. And one of the things I really love about Aboriginal culture is the way that those people respect each other and acknowledge each other, and especially their elders in their community. So I want to firstly acknowledge Josh and Kyle this morning for that amazing welcome to country and the dances. Let's give them another clap. And I also want to acknowledge all the elders from this traditional land, and for the tireless work they do in making sure that the Aboriginal culture is continued and helping their young people to reconnect with that, and also really willing and happy to share their knowledge, their wisdom with the rest of us. I think I have to go to my next slide. So now I want to acknowledge the people on our board. And up in the top left-hand corner is Uncle Paul Gordon. Uncle Paul Gordon is our senior cultural advisor. And anybody who's been to NMD school in the last few years will know what an impact this man has through his incredible wisdom. So we're really blessed to have him on board overseeing what we're doing culturally. On the other side is another senior member, the lovely Dr. Kate McGee. She's been an original board member with me right from the start, and she's a quiet achiever, but when she opens her mouth and the wisdom comes out, you just really take notice. And of course, next to me is the wonderful David, who will be talking soon. And next to him is Nathan Brennan, our newest board member, who's also been a godsend to me. And of course, the wonderful Celine on the right that everybody knows now. And her main role is to keep us on time. So she does that really well. So I also want to thank all of you, because without you, there would be no Nutrition Plus. Peter and I wanted to give back. We wanted to find a way to give back in our community and in communities around Australia and New Zealand. And we wanted a way for you to be involved in it. And so many of you are. And many of you go way beyond the monthly donations from your commissions. Many of you sponsor children. Many of you run fundraisers. And some of you support our projects in other ways by connecting us with people, like-minded people. So I really want you to appreciate, I really want to thank you and let you know that we appreciate you so much and we value your input and support. Thank you. Okay, so who here has a vision board? And you've got some goals on those vision boards, and some of you may have already achieved what was on your vision board. Who has goals left on their vision board that they intend to achieve? Excellent. Excellent. Well, as Celine said, Nutrition Plus was actually something that was a vision. And I've been able to achieve this through the Juice Plus business. And I know that if you stay the distance, you follow the leader, and you become part of the Juice Plus family, you will also achieve those goals on your vision board. So hand up if you've got a house on your vision board, or you've already living in your dream home. Okay? So this is going to be pertinent in the story I'm going to tell in a moment. And stories are really important in Aboriginal culture. It's one of the ways that they transferred information down through millennia. And it's really important to the Juice Plus family as well, because this is how we tell our stories. And it's important because through stories, we can transfer all kinds of information, and it just lightly wafts over people. So craft your story, get to know your story, spend some time with your story. So the story I'm going to tell you today is about Mary. Now, Mary was living in her dream home. Mary was living in her dream community. She was really, really happy. She had everything she wanted. She had all the furnishings she wanted. She had a beautiful cabinet with all of her family heirlooms in that cabinet. And she lived in a community where she was surrounded by all her friends and family. How wonderful would that be? And it was a beautiful place. So this lady was very blessed. So there was a wedding. And a wedding in a town a little way away. So the community of Mary was very excited. And you'd be too. You'd be too if you were invited to a wedding, and they were talking about it for months and months. And the day arrived, so they all got together and they travelled to the wedding. And they had a wonderful time. And their hearts were full of joy because of the couple that were getting married and the ability to play a role in that and celebrate. And we all know what that's like. It's a good chance to party as well. So on their return, Mary found that there were some things that weren't quite right. As a matter of fact, things were pretty wrong. Even though she had her keys, she couldn't get back in her house. And she started to think this was really strange, and she looked through the window, and to her horror, she saw somebody else's furniture in there. And then she said, this is my house, I know my house. And she started to panic. And then, to her horror, she saw all of her things shoved over into a corner as if they didn't matter. And the family heirlooms out of her cabinet smashed. They weren't valued at all. So Mary was really upset. You could imagine, like, these are the things that you most treasure that have been handed down to you. And you could imagine how she's feeling. So she thought, I've got another key around the back. I'm going to go around there and see if that key's going to get me in. I've got to see what's going on here. And so she went round the back, and she noticed that her vegetable garden was being covered up with concrete. And then she turned around and she saw someone in her house, someone she didn't know. So she rapped on the door, and the door opened, and there's a person standing there really angry, and she couldn't understand a word that he was saying, but by his body language, she knew pretty much to get out of there really, really quickly. So by this stage, Mary was in a full panic. And she thought, what will I do? What will I do? And she thought, well, Auntie Sally next door, I'll go and see her. She'll know what to do. She'll be able to help me. And she turned around and she saw Auntie Sally out on the street as well, crying. And then she turned around even further, and there were all of her friends and neighbours out on the street, angry and upset and feeling anguish. That'd be pretty scary. Oh my God, if that was me, I'd be like freaking out. I don't know about you. So with that, some vehicles turned up, and they're bundled onto the vehicles, and they're frightened and they're scared. And they don't know where they're going, and they're driven for miles and miles and hours, and eventually they land in a place, they're let out in a place they've never been before. They don't know, there's no story for this place, there's no connection to this place. And then they're told, you can't speak your language anymore. Can you imagine not being able to speak English, or being told you're not allowed to speak English? You're not allowed to practice your culture or religion. And you can't eat the food that you normally had. You've got to eat this food over here. And the food, in fact, makes you sick. How do you think your well-being would be right now? How do you think you'd be feeling? How do you think you'd be showing up in the world? Okay. So just when Mary thought that things weren't going to be getting any worse, she couldn't see how she was going to get back to her former life, but she was just trying to get on with it the best she could. Some more vehicles turned up. And to the horror of this community, they took the most treasured things in that community, their children. Now, the people that took those children may have thought that they were doing the right thing, but their good intentions did not change the outcome. And if you could imagine your children or children that you know being taken from you, how would that feel? How would you be? How would you cope? So Mary's story is a true story. It's not just Mary's story. It is the story of thousands of Marys and thousands of Johns. And I don't know why, but I have been chosen to share Mary's story. And I want you to understand why this story is so important to Nutrition Plus and why we do what we do. So the transgenerational trauma that was caused by such events that Mary experienced show up in our latest ABS statistics. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this, but I'd just like to pick out a couple. Okay, so life expectancy is 10 to 15 years shorter than the rest of the Australian community. Now, that's a fair chunk of life. You know, I don't think I'd like to be told that I was going to be living 10 to 15 years shorter. The infant mortality rate is 2 times higher. That's a lot of babies to lose. And by the time people are in adulthood, about 40% of them have a disability. That's not an illness that's going to go away. That is a permanent disability. I was listening to a Triple J hack program. Yes, I'm a closet Triple J listener too. And this was a couple of weeks ago during Reconciliation Week, and there was some interesting stats, and they were talking about equality. And I know some of you are sitting in there, why do we do this? You know, Aboriginal people get so much. Okay. But there's no equal playing field if we're not equal to start with. And so this really brought home to me again some of the inequality that we're dealing with in these communities. So, for instance, if you're a young Aboriginal youth, you have 25 times higher chance of ending up in youth detention. That's a good start to a life, isn't it? And then if you're a male, you have 11 times more chance of ending up in jail. And for females, that is 15 times. So it's really interesting that it's higher for females than for males. And the suicide rate is 3 times higher. And we all know that the suicide rate in our general community is way too high, but it's insane in Aboriginal communities. And there's a cycle of poverty in many communities. Now, this is a generalised, simplified model, poverty cycle model. So it includes employment, education, health and housing. And with anybody, if there is a setback in one of those factors or a disadvantage in one only of those factors, then it can impact on all of the others. And we know in Aboriginal communities that they are dealing with all of these things at the same time simultaneously. So there is a lot of inequality left that we need to address. And I know Nutrition Plus is helping in some of those ways to improve the situation. Thank you. So let's talk now about what we do. I'm hoping you understand a little bit of why I'm so passionate about our main cause. So here we have some of our beautiful children receiving some of the Juice Plus products in their school. And these are the same products that you take every day and that you're sharing with your friends and family. So they receive mainly the soft chews every day at school. And these have, the feedback that we've had from the soft chews is things like skin infections clear up. Things like eczema, scabies, boils disappear. That's pretty impressive. You know, green runny noses, and then there's a greater sense of well-being as well. And we also supply complete in the breakfast programs to some of our schools. So in our Juice Plus community, it'd be very unlikely that many of our children are turning up to school with hungry tummies. But for Aboriginal and other disadvantaged children, that can be quite common. And so it's great to know that these kids are getting a great start at breakfast in the morning before school. So this is some of the work that we're doing. And that's not enough. We wanted to reconnect children to where fruits and vegetables come from, and also their local bush tucker, and reconnect them to Mother Earth and its bounty. And as you can see here, the kids are having an absolute wonderful time in the array of programs and projects that we run, and we do cooking as well. And wherever possible, we try and integrate local cultural knowledge from the elders or from David and Nathan when they're out and about. And that's really important too, and we'll learn more about that in a little bit. And more recently, Nutrition Plus has been blessed, and we've been blessed through the Global Juice Plus Foundation. And this is where some of you may not know that you're making a contribution. So the Global Juice Plus Foundation was started at head office in Memphis, and we went along and we said, we want to be part of that, but we want the Australian dollars and the New Zealand dollars to come back to us, to Nutrition Plus. And they said yes. So this is what we've been doing with those funds. We're part of the global 10 million meals program, which means there is a goal for 10 million meals to be given to disadvantaged people around the world in I think it was a 5-year period. We put our hands up to do 10,000, and we pretty much have already done that, and we're waiting on our next shipment. So we have a couple of programs in Newcastle because it's easier for us to network there, and we've got the REACH program, which Michael Egan is involved in, and also the Centre for Hope. And on the Gold Coast, we're supporting the Edge Cafe and also Hope Direct. And on the bottom right of the slide, you'll see some fellas there with David, and we supported a Walk It Out, long distance walk where these guys were raising money for suicide prevention. So there's sort of a smattering of the sorts of programs that we're involved in due to your contributions. So thank you very, very much. Recently we had a small grants program, and one of those small grants has already been delivered on, and this was a women's festival in Port Macquarie in New South Wales, where they got Aboriginal women together and non-Aboriginal women together, and they shared culture through song and dance and crafts and telling stories, and they had a wonderful day, and I was really sorry I was unable to get there on that day, but my intention is to be there very much next year. So I'm going to bring David up in a moment, and he's going to fill in the piece around the cultural side and why that is important. But I want to maybe connect a few more dots for you about why that is important. And I'm going to put my glasses on now. Hang on a minute. How are those beauties? Are they? Yeah. I'll turn it off. So this is a study that was released by CSIRO this year, okay? And it's about skin infections with Aboriginal children. Now, I've already mentioned that Juice Plus makes a huge difference with that, but there's another piece. So in their conclusion, and I'm just going to read this, because causes of skin infections and their solutions are complex, a more holistic approach that addresses social determinants and transgenerational trauma will be required. Strategies that empower children and their families to see that skin infections are not normal and that build on community strengths, culture, and connection to country are more likely to succeed than current approaches. So I can tell you, Nutrition Plus is way ahead on the bell curve. We've been doing this. This is why we have Uncle Paul involved. This is why we have David and Nathan involved. So I'd now like to bring up my dear friend and partner in crime, David Newham. Off you go.
Check them out. How'd you get those lights on?
There's a little switch.
Mad. Thank you. I've got to hold on to that. Thank you, Louise. From the onset, this is exciting. Wow. Look how many people there are. It's like, is everyone here? I don't know. Hey. Okay, so I've popped my cherry, first time on stage, first time I've... It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not where I like to be, but I'm here. I do love telling dad jokes, by the way. Can you hear me up the back? Yeah, neat. Last time I said that, they said, yes, can we swap seats? There's one straight off the bat, dad joke. Feel better now. I want to acknowledge our brothers Josh and Kyle and his family for that really powerful and moving welcome to country as a proud Aboriginal man. And for everyone here, I think you'll agree that was mad. Best I've seen. I could feel that. And acknowledging Juice Plus and Nutrition Plus, the organisers of this awesome conference, that they understand that needs to happen. That's a part of the process, part of the journey. I want to acknowledge Louise has already done this. All you followers in the room, those that can't make it and those that have walked before us, the awesome support that we get to do the fun. I get to do the fun stuff. I'm going to be honest. I'm the balloons and banner kid that goes out there and I think does something, do some work. But I want to acknowledge that we're able to do that because of your big hearts, and you're on this journey with Juice Plus, and we say that, a company with a heart, and you're proving that. So I love you for that. I give you my respect and my humility and trust, and it's very exciting. The last year has been awesome at conference last year, and I've pretty much stepped into this role. I want to acknowledge our board members. We have lots of fun. The wisdom that's shared from everyone on that board and from the different perspectives that comes along. Celine and Louise in particular for being there for a long time. My brother Nathan, Jamu, Uncle Paul and Kate. I've got to give a shout out to this beautiful woman. It's the reason why my story is what it is, and it's the reason why I'm in the Juice Plus story now, because my story was Nutrition Plus first, and she said, try these, we're going to have a yarn. Juice Plus, what's Juice Plus? Ate those soft chews, way too many. You know, like way too many. Yeah, you know what I mean. So hey, put your hand up if you love the soft chews, come on. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's good. And 5 years ago, Louise said, would you like to join the board? I hear you might be able to add some value. I hope you're not regretting that. Well, sometimes I wonder. She's like, oh, why did I ask him in? So I want to acknowledge that, Louise. And you have the biggest heart of nearly anyone I know, and you understand it, you get it. You may not realise, but you lead for me and inspire me and yourself and Uncle Paul. Yeah, so I want to acknowledge you, Louise. You're one of my dear friends. And that story that Louise shared, it's very powerful, it's very poignant. People, that is the story of us here as Australians. And my Maori brother and sisters and our Kiwi brothers and sisters who are over here, similar stuff in their land. But that's the story, that's our story. That's not an easy story to hear, but it's the story. It's in there. And we really wanted to share with you our why. Now, come on, I know this is, Juice Plus people. The why, that's you get that. And we want to share that with you. So what I've been asked to do is really just add that little bit extra, on. When you're out there doing your thing, doing your Juice Plus, yarning, just talking, engaging, building the relationships, we just want to give you as much information as we can from a Nutrition Plus point of view so that you can hang that tool off your belt and put it in your story if you want to. That's that charity piece. We're the company with a heart. This is some of the things we do. It's so cool to see some familiar faces, the front, the side, the back, the bar. Oh, not the bar. That was last night. Sorry. There's a band and that. And heaps of new faces. We're at the Nutrition Plus stand. Come over and have a yarn, say hi, swap cards, selfie. And we want to reach out and connect our stories. And if there's something that you think you may be able to offer, charity, there's a trickier word for that, philanthropic actions. I can't say that word, so I'll just say charity. Is the 3 T's, apparently, time, treasure, and talent. So contributing to Nutrition Plus, getting into that story with us, can look like very different things for you all. You might have time. That's really valuable. You might have your talents. Some of you might be able to turn on the computer. I can't do that. Turn on. And so that maybe you're at the casino last night, you might have treasure. A few people over there. Oh, someone, 24 black, there to go. Nutrition Plus table, come and see us. This thing, I'll give you some wristbands. How much did you win? Nah. So, contributing, being involved in our story, the charity of choice of your company can look like different things. The work that we do, I'm going to go back, skipped it, kind of looks like that. And then the photo in the middle, as we're going to wind it up, I'm going to get through this because there's some other fellas that want to do some sharing. The photo in the middle is Auntie Zelma Moran. She's one of our elders for the local area in the school that we operate. We're supporting that school through provisions of funds for a learning circle, scattered with bush tucker, and of course the product. We have bush tucker gardens, fruits and veggies added into those gardens, and story. I want to acknowledge that every single one of you right in here, in this room, you know this, you have a story to tell. Some people put it in a book. John, great book. Mad Yarn. You all have a story. I think today sometimes we forget to find the commonalities in our story. We tend to maybe focus on the different stuff. This is what I see. But for us, let's think about what we have in common. And we know these and we can find out more by sharing our story. You all have a story. I want to say to you, your story is important. I respect and value your story. Own your story. Find out everything about your story, the good and the bad bits. Because as Uncle Paul has taught us and shared with some of the leaders in this company, your story, your history is your past. That's all we have. I've heard this saying. So elders like Auntie Zelma are our leaders. They've walked a path for us. I hear this a little bit. Don't go and cut your own track, David. Follow one that's there for you. Walk the path that's been walked for thousands of years. Stay in line. Follow it. Follow the tracks. So your story, don't be ghosts. Leave tracks for people to follow. Success leaves clues. This is a good one. I like that one, Celine. Our elders, they leave us our clues to follow. So I want to acknowledge that. A couple of other little things that we've been doing in the school. Does anyone know? That's my hand. Murrah. There's your Murrah. What's in my hand there? Does anyone want to just throw out? What do you think that is? Yes, well done. Lily pillies or rye berries. Berries are very, very good for you. That's 2 down. My brothers reckon I won't get 5 in. Yes, I will. They grow on a tree at one of the schools that I go and visit. They are big. That's my recess or little lunch. I don't know what generation some of you are all in, and recess, little lunch. They switched it round. Now lunch is recess is lunch, does my head in. But I just go and pick them off a tree, have a little chew on that, and I'll do a song and a dance and say thanks to that tree. Thanks for giving me a part of yourself. You're now going to be inside of me. Maybe a bit later out, whatever, but that's 3. It's about giving. It's about acknowledging. And the cool thing about that is that the young fellas at that school, they took me through into that bush tucker garden and they told me all about it. Mr. Newham, they call me. It's strange, Mr. Newham. Come on here, look at this. This one, these lily pillies, rye berries. We've got some recipes and we can cook up a mad feed. We're not allowed to eat them, though. School policy. Oh, okay. And this is the Lamandra longifolia. You can pull that out and chew on the end. Yeah, it's good for you too. And then they can strip that. These fellas are connected to that place. And you feel it and you can hear it in their soul and their energy and their spirits lifted. Because they know that place. Their story's been connected to it. With our programs at Nutrition Plus, we work from that place. We're connecting Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal students in the schools we're in and the organisations we work with. Connecting story, strengthening story, connecting them into fruits and veggies, nutrition, holistic health. making it a stronger story and asking them to let us be in their story and walk with us. It's through song, it's through dance, passed on by Damu Uncle Paul Gordon to me. I'm very fortunate for that. It's through our products, our awesome products. Give them a clap, they're great products, come on. They're good. And it is having a huge impact. It is making a massive amount of difference. Some of these young fellas are coming to school with nothing in their tummy, haven't eaten maybe from the day before. And what we know as educators and what we see, and I'm sure some of you are connected into this, when you've got the right fuel in your vehicle with the right oil, man, you're going to drive that a bit better. The concentration, attendance, the well-being of those children's improved. We're going to the next level. Oh, this is a good one. Going to the next level. We've got a great relationship with many organisations. Our newest one is with the Preston Campbell Foundation and Dreamworld. I know some of your leaders went to Dreamworld there the other day. I saw it all over Facebook. Mad. You have a good time? It was good. Their cafe is there up at Dreamworld, Presto's Cafe. We've just recently supported both those organisations, both those groups, to put in a bush tucker garden in the Corroboree area. That's what it's called, the Corroboree Showpiece at Dreamworld, to be able to grow fruits and veggies, traditional way, bush tucker, and use that as an educational tool to guests who visit. So we're taking that. Yeah, give it a clap, man. That's awesome. That's great. But then they're also going to, so they're going to be learning, sort of like to say, learning them fellas that come in and visit there, international guests as well. But then they're going to pick that bush tucker and take it into the cafe, and then they're going to knock up some good food, and they're going to share that, make a little bit of coin off that, pump that back in to their cafe, which is used as a training house to train up some fellas to address that cycle of poverty. So it's health, training, education, and an employment. Matt, I love that. And they're good. So give them a clap. I'm going to jump off in a second. It's a pretty neat photo, eh? It's a good photo. Recently, Nutrition Plus, through the awesome support of Juice Plus, allowed myself and fellow board member Nathan Brennan to attend a biannual. Does that mean 2 a year? Yeah, just checking that you're still with me. Biannual gathering of men from around the state and Australia. Been going for over 30 odd years, coordinated and led by Uncle Paul and the Guni Thakun Cultural Association, an organisation we would love to be partnered with. Why we've got this involved in our slides is what we saw recently is Juice Plus allowed us to take the shakes. I give it up for the shakes. I mean the ones you drink, okay? We have, there's 4, thank you. I'm going to finish with the last one. What we've witnessed, I've been attending these gatherings for nearly 20 years. The shift that we are seeing in these men's approaches, their conversations and their actions in the health and wellbeing space are phenomenal. We're seeing these fellas losing 20, 30 kilos of weight, talking about eating clean. And I know you fellas get this, but this is not historically something that our men buy into. They're changing their story for the good, their family story, their community story. And the shakes were smashed. Oh, people were lining up to our camp. You got a shake there, brother? You got a shake? You got a shake? Whip us up a shake, brothers. I was like, yeah, it was pretty cool. They went quick. Don't worry, I had a yarn to them about Juice Plus. Here's my business card too, eh? No. They're on the journey. So I think that's really vital. And you're about to see a few men come and join us up on stage who are at that camp, who will say yes through not only that spiritual intelligence being improved, emotional intelligence, and our intellect, some of our intellectual intelligence, but our health and our well-being is changing stories. I'm going to leave it there. Did you hear about the vampire doctor? Stuck his head out there, Dr. Tamara. stuck his head out and said, "Neck, please."
I hope you enjoyed that. I always love hanging out with David. I always learn so much from David, and we have a lot of fun together.